Welcome to Marvel Movie Talk. Sitting here to revel in a moment that I think a lot of us didn't think we were going to get 7 years ago when Netflix canceled Daredevil and began the dominoes falling to end the entire Defenders universe. So it is indeed very exciting that we're able to talk about season 1 of Daredevil Born Again. It was a 2-episode premiere, and we will be talking about both of them. For our visual audience, you can see right there on the screen. We're going to be talking about it with all the spoilers. I'm going to do my best to leave that up there the entire time that we are on, because there are some spoilers to talk about during the course of these episodes, but we want to discuss with me, as is so often the case, the man without fear himself, visually impaired Eric Connor.
That's no lie. These glasses, I feel like I'm having an acid flashback, and I've never tried acid.
It probably makes it very difficult. And our own Karen Page, the one and only Katie Hampton. Katie, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. Also, dude, Eric, you look a lot like Charlie Cox.
Yeah. After he was stung by bees.
Well, Charlie Cox, after a bad couple of years, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And wow.
After 2025, Charlie Cox is how I'd promote it.
No, that's not the way I look at it. And of course, America's favorite Brooklyn boy, second to Steve Rogers, the one and only Mr. David Brody, and making his debut on this show proper is Marcos from XPod 97. Marcos, thank you for being here. We appreciate you joining us to talk Daredevil.
Thank you for inviting me. You know, I saw he pulled out something, so I'm randomly breaking out a prop too. It's from a different show.
Oh,
but you know, it's I can't be left out, man.
I just have Loki sauce from McDonald's, and my green screen makes it hard to show off. I don't really have that many good toys.
I am holding a pen which Bullseye used as a weapon in season 3 of Daredevil.
Perfect. So everybody wins. Now, listen, as I stressed, we are of course going to talk about all of the spoilers about episodes 1 and 2 of Daredevil Born Again.
Wait, hold on. We're spoiling things. I haven't seen the show.
Oh,
wait, we're talking about Daredevil?
By the way, Marcos, my understanding is you have the whole season. Have you only watched these 2, or are you going to have to tread lightly and make sure you don't give away the next 6 episodes?
I literally spent the last couple hours just like coming up with a list of things that I saw in those particular episodes versus the things that I saw across the season. And, you know, we could talk offline about certain things and stuff like that. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be one of the chosen few that Disney said, hey, you want to look at this? And I was like, sure.
So I think that the most important thing we need to do is talk about the elephant in the room, and of course I'm talking about Michael Gandolfini. Every time he's on screen, it takes me completely out of it. You know, I was on a text thread about this morning, and usually we don't want to make the argument about Nepo babies, but Michael Gandolfini is the ultimate Nepo baby. He makes Dakota Johnson look like Dame Judi Dench. Every time he's on the screen, I'm just like, oh, just shut up, stop talking. And maybe that's what they're going for. You know, it's great. He was in The Many Saints in Newark because he looked like his dad. Well, you don't look like your dad anymore. And James Gandolfini wasn't in the original series.
Wait. So you don't like him in Bob Marley's One Love?
Oh no, he's great in that.
Did he play Bob Marley? I didn't see it.
No, Bob Marley was the main.
All the Whalers.
No, Bob Marley was the Super Skrull in that movie.
Secret Invasion. He played Howard Bloom, which was probably like one of the record execs that dealt with Bob Marley. But like, I get it. When he gets on there and starts chewing up the scenery, like, hey, you know those guys from Staten Island, like, yeah. I was like,
he makes acting look very hard.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just curious if he's going to go to the therapist at any point.
Well,
Well, when the therapist opened the door and Kingpin was ready to walk in, I'm like, oh, it's totally The Sopranos.
Well,
It's
that's
totally
actually
different.
my thought. Yeah, when we talk about that, I think that we're all well aware of internet decorum, and it's good when a big show like this premieres to stay off social media. And I did just that. And, as I was creating a post to let everybody know to watch this show, I saw the things that people were sharing. They were sharing like clips of the show, scenes that we'll talk about. And it was like, all right, yeah, there would have been no avoiding it. I do have to say, and I hope that it's taken in the spirits it's intended, which is, of course, just ball breaking. I'm glad I trusted my instinct to ignore our Gmail thread where Brody posted it. What must have been 5 minutes after it was the episode went live. Hey, 5 minutes in and I'm not happy. And so I'm glad I didn't read that.
I didn't say what.
The thing that we thought was going to happen only half happened, but the thing that we were theorizing for weeks. So, yeah, so I was glad that I didn't let Brody let me know, like, oh, well, the 5 minute mark, I'm going to be unhappy. Which, by the way, is something that my wife says routinely.
Hey, ring the bell.
Hey,
At the 5 minute mark.
Listen,
wow.
As Gandolfini would say, bada bing.
Hey, Staten Island over here.
Staten Island, we love the Kingpin.
Well,
They love
by the
you,
way,
they
it's
love
true.
all the
In
memes.
Staten Island, they do love the Kingpin. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Brody?
Yes, it's the only area he won. What I was going to say was, for all you know, Matt Murdock could have been eating a broccoli sandwich, and that would have upset me because I hate broccoli. And I sent out an email that I was unhappy.
That was my
That's
guess.
all.
That was my default setting.
Yes.
Was
No,
nothing
Eric-
about.
Eric
Yeah.
emailed me, he wrote me back, and he's like, "It's not about the broccoli thing. I haven't watched yet." I'm like, "Nope, I'm not spoiling it."
I hope it's not broccoli.
it
So,
is.
yeah, so it was something that we were theorizing could have been what was happening, because we knew it had leaked that sort of the original incarnation of this show, both Karen and Foggy die off camera, though we would never have seen it. It just would have been Matt dealing with it. And I don't know, I guess this is better. I'm not sure. And so I want to and we'll go clockwise because it's easy. I want to get your thoughts sort of on that decision and watching the way that it played out. I'll go to you first, Mr. Connor.
Well, bring an actor back and kill them in Act 1. That is a bold swing. And I Katie, I think you put it's a choice. I think it's how you might have put it in our thread. I have been binging. In fact, the reason I'm wearing these glasses, I've been binging so much Daredevil. My eyes will never be the same. It's
actually his eyes. It's not
it reversed my
glasses.
LASIK. Right. My eyes are now just red circles. Oh gosh. I mean, it was powerful. It was effective. It did what it needed to do. But come on, you just bring it back. And you remember Mission Impossible? They originally were going to do this with the old cast, the OG cast.
Right.
They were going to bring them all back, kill them all in basically Act 1. Instead, they're like, well, instead of getting Peter Graves, we can get Emilio Estevez for a quarter of the cost. And we don't have to worry about
in show business, we call that a push. When you when you switch out Peter Graves for Emilio Estevez, it is indeed a push.
The Mighty Ducks reboot with Peter Graves is still on my bucket list.
Terrific. Although I didn't understand why the fuse was burning at the beginning of the movie.
But that opening, I mean, I know we're going to get into all this, but even the opening is kind of funky because I think I was warned. Being part of that text thread meant I went in like, okay, what's going on here? And I thought the first few minutes felt like Ally McBeal for a little bit with all the banter. And I'm like, what's happening here? But then that fight scene itself was pretty cool. I mean, it like trying to do as much as they could in one continuous take, add a Kill Bill vibe to it. I'm like, all right, I'm up for this. I could have done without some of the CGing of Daredevil with like, they made it a little bit too, I guess, like Marvel comic book-y, which normally I'm fine with. But what's been so fun about Daredevil is like, they didn't need that for him. It was always gritty and grounded and it worked beautifully. And this is showing their hand that maybe it won't be quite so grounded as it had been in previous incarnations.
Katie, I want to get your thoughts, sort of on the key moment, and what one of the pictures that Eric sent to me is the death scene in question. I'm not going to put that up, mostly for the fact that people will be scrolling through and possibly just So I'm not going to share that image. I know I've got the scroll and I had the other graphic. There's a out of respect to one Foggy Nelson, but what do you think? Sorry, Foggy, Foggy Nelson. What do you think, Katie?
Man, Foggy was looking good too.
Oh, yeah.
As much as they were like, "Oh yeah, let's go to this restaurant." Oh, it's closed. I was like, "Y'all are gonna die." Like, I know. We knew it was. I was actually kind of surprised that Karen didn't die. I thought that was another.
I mean,
choice.
she went off to San Francisco. It's the same thing, really.
Yeah. It definitely. It felt added. The scene felt added. I get why they were trying to do sort of the hallway scene because it's so iconic to Daredevil. I don't think they quite achieved it, but I did like that both Daredevil and Bullseye were like panting the entire time. Boy, that was a lot of knives. Loved that. The fight scene was cool. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it was cool. I did start shouting in this moment in particular for them to kiss. But
very homoerotic, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Come on.
The glass has already told us that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm looking at?
It started to get foggy.
Bell.
R.I.P. It felt a little ham-fisted. It sucks because the actor's looking great, and I was like,
he definitely got into a good batch of Fog Zempic because he was downright svelte.
Yeah, no, he was looking great, and I liked the facial hair and everything. But yeah, somebody cast him because I think he's looking for work.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's my one question that I realized I should have looked up is I need to see did this happen because he's got another gig and they weren't going to be able to use them. Well, you never know. But Brody, I wanted to get your thoughts sort of on the opening, but of course the closing of the fog door, as it were.
Well, when I purchased this shirt a couple of weeks ago, I had a choice between this and one that said the law firm of Nelson and Murdoch, and I'm glad I didn't buy that shirt. That was my first thought. That's going to be a problem, that shirt. When they announced Daredevil originally, and they said that Karen and Foggy weren't going to be in it, there was an uproar, right? Like, oh, we're going to retool it, we're going to refilm it, we're going to put them back in the cast. If their idea of putting them back in the show was to kill one of them and have one of them go off across the country and not have them in episodes 2 through, don't say anything, Marcos, but as far as right now, they're not in the rest of the show. Now, Elektra was resurrected by the Hand. This is Marvel. I'm not saying that Foggy can't come back end of the year, that they can't bring him back in some way. Don't smirk.
I'm not.
I'm just going to jump in that the showrunner has said that Foggy and Karen will be back in season 2, but obviously that could be a flashback. That could be
flashbacks.
It could be multiverse. It could be a lot of different things. But
a lot of scenes at the cemetery. A lot of scenes.
It's crazy when you guys see what. No, I'm just kidding.
Like that.
Eldris Amba is playing Foggy Nelson.
I'm in. I'm so in. He's
another
really
Disney production.
Yeah.
DJ actor. He's actually going to rename himself. Idris Foggy.
Yeah, Fog to the Y. So I thought the first fight scene was very good, although it wasn't one shot. There were edits when they went behind poles and when the doors closed. So because I went back and looked, I'm like, that was a smooth, well done fight with the fog. I liked it. The hallway scene was very karate movie. It was very it was very staccato, like it was choreographed and not like it didn't look smooth. So I thought maybe they did that one first because that wasn't a Foggy fight scene, and maybe the Foggy fight scene was secondary. I don't know. But the hallway scene, I like the staircase being involved. That added a different dimension to it. But I thought the fight wasn't as fluid as it could have been. And then I don't understand how Daredevil's on the staircase panting and can't breathe, and he's got knives in him. And somehow when Bullseye went to the roof, he went back downstairs, up another building, up to the roof, so he could jump on to this roof and come up behind Bullseye, as opposed to just following him up the stairs. That part was like, oh, it looked good in the scene, but it didn't make any sense. And that rooftop did look like the Spider-Man rooftop with the water tank, the water tower, like same rooftop. So other than that, what were you gonna say, Marcos? I'm sorry.
I think that definitely looks like that might have been left over from the reshoots, because you got to think about they shot the show or most of the show halfway through, and then they brought in new creators and the original Netflix people and the Loki people, which led to Foggy and Karen Page coming back and everything. And sorry, I froze up a little bit there. We're already full.
We heard everything you said,
blast.
actually. Yeah.
So
people get nervous.
Yeah, I froze. No, so going back to the question you asked, I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. There's another content creator that's amazing out there called Emergency Awesome. I don't know if you guys seen his stuff on YouTube and stuff like that. He chose certain verbiage that I found really interesting. He was like, well, they wanted to really drive home the point that the Foggy's dead. And I could tell you wholeheartedly, there's not going to be a change in that, at least from what I've seen this entire season. However, I don't know.
My hopes.
Well, it didn't dash my hopes. I didn't see that as a thing. I thought, that was very clear, but the way he worded it, and I guess he might've had conversations with the production team a lot better, because they remove certain stuff so they can make this, instead of a large season, they made this into pieces, so season 2 can have some of the good stuff that season 1 was supposed to include. And I don't know, you brought up Christian the Hand, and I don't think the Hand is going to be a part of this any foreseeable future. Now, I did like the fight scene, because I felt like Disney came out and decided to show people how big their budget is, and what, and it was smoother. I know some of you guys had some issues with it. I did like where you saw the CGI was put into good use. I was very happy as a Daredevil fan that Matt did not get shit kicked out of him, because that was a running thing in his Netflix movie, where it wasn't that he was really smooth with fighting. It was like he could just take a punch like nobody else. And I think going forward, he's going to be seen as a tactician, where I don't think they alluded to in the first 2 episodes, but I have a feeling that some way they're gonna say it, whether it's a producer or something, because it's not alluded to in the season, is that a Bullseye's enhanced. He has to be, because the thud that he had, that when he fell, come on.
And it's been 7 years since I saw it, but the end of the Netflix series, there was that extra scene where we see that he's getting worked on, and yes, the fact that he gets tossed off that building and then we see him twitch a little bit later, I think tells us everything that we need to know so far, and that's consistent with the Bullseye that we know. I just wanted to bring in a couple comments from the chat. Ivan Soto has let us know he's not going to keep watching because he doesn't agree with the choice of what happened to Foggy. Such a stupid choice. Why even bring them back at all? I can attempt to answer that question when, like Marcos, I've seen the entire season. It is part of the story they've chosen to tell, and at this moment, I can disagree with it. But I guess we'll see what they're doing with Matt as we go along. And I am also glad to see Keme Egan, although that wasn't one of her comments I wanted to bring in there. I'm bummed Foggy had to die within the first 10 minutes. I was hoping they would have done that in at least episode 5. I think that would have hurt more, Cammy, but I know what you're saying.
I'm also wondering if it is just fodder for us to kind of debate and talk about until they bring him back in either season 2 or something like that. Actual do they resurrect him? Because that's one of the comic stories.
I think honestly they did this right out the gate to like highlight the point of how brutal this season is going to be.
Yeah.
That like I think the Daredevil Reborn name has less to do with the title choice. I think is just the arc that Matt is going to go on to, because if you notice, episode 2, he immediately is leading a different life.
Yeah.
Like this is a different person, but you could tell something is off. Like he's dealing with some serious PTSD, and this is not the same person. Like we get screaming Daredevil for the first 2 episodes, like that anger and like hopelessness that he experiences is very touching, because this is a guy that for all the gifts that he has, he couldn't do the one thing that everybody that is watching the show, that even his own friends thought that he'll always be there to help his friends. And on a simple day, they made it seem like it was a random Tuesday. It wasn't like he was on a mission. He just made the wrong choice, and that is guilt that he's gonna carry.
Yeah.
So, and
the retirement party for a police officer, like
what, 1 day till retirement.
Like,
that's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, if you're a cop, don't retire.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
And it's like, I think it's telling the way he dropped the mask and everything. It's like, and I love the fact that they didn't have him and Karen like interact, because like, I don't know if you guys noticed when she was distraught when she saw the heartbeat stop, but she was more distraught when she heard what happened behind them, and she realized that he broke his number 1 rule. It's not like a Batman rule where Batman is like, no, I don't kill people. I'm just going to make sure that they never walk, sleep, drink, hold their kids,
eat solid foods.
Like for the rest of their lives. Like Daredevil was actually a nice
his
person.
morality. Well, it's especially his struggle with his own Christianity or his own faith. He knows he has he says it in like the beginning of the Netflix show, the Murdoch boys have the devil in them. So I did love episode 2 a lot more than I did episode 1, because episode 1 felt a little fan servicey. I won't lie. Like if you were going to bring Foggy and Karen back
for fans who hate Foggy, it was to service them.
But let me pose this question to the group. What would you have preferred? That they stay there and there will be no stakes, that is basically just a run-on sentence continuation from the previous seasons, or that they were originally just going to have them off screen like blipped or something like that? That would have been even worse. At least you saw it. So we're feeling, the PTSD that Matt felt this entire time. Like, we got to change this dynamic.
If Foggy has to die, it's 100% better that they did what they did.
Yeah.
Because if he dies a year ago, it has no effect on Matt other than I miss my friend.
Yep.
If he dies because Daredevil wasn't there, it's the impetus. It's Uncle Ben dying that forces Spider-Man to become Spider-Man, right?
Sure.
So this whole season is predicated on him not being able to save his friend. So that part was important. Now, given the choice, would I rather him be alive with Karen and then be absolutely. But if my choice is off screen or on screen and it affects the plot in a positive way, absolutely. And then they can resurrect him in season 2. I'm fine with that.
Because, let's be honest. Marvel has had like very swift decisions and they could do whatever the hell they want. He could have came back with a lime green suit and be like, this is Daredevil. And he has a jet and a dog that helps him. I don't know. Like they could have done whatever, because at the end of the day,
Marcos, are you suggesting Dog Devil? I love it.
Yes. It's a seeing eye dog.
No, devil dog.
Devil dog.
Devil
dog. You can't license that. That's copywritten by the Drake's Cakes company.
or the military. Have him have like a former bomb sniffing dog background with the Marines who call themselves devil dogs. Come on. Perfect tie-in, Marvel. You're missing this. But one last point that I wanted to see, that I wanted to say, not see rather, you see that's another Matt Murdock reference there, was that we go back to season 2 and like the Man with So Much Fear, Connor, I binged the previous seasons before. Frank told him, When they had their discussion of their philosophical beliefs, he's like, dude, you're just a bad day away from being me.
Yep.
And look at that. And
Yeah.
then it's like the way he did it, it was so like people are like, why you just pushed him off? I've been seeing all over social media. It's like the way he did it, he was just done. He's like, I'm not quote unquote gonna kill you. Like he could have stabbed him and done whatever, beat the crap out of him. He was just like
yeah, and to Katie's point earlier, I thought one of the most powerful scenes in these 2 episodes is when he stops at the church, but he won't let himself go in. But he's still obviously he's Daredevil, so he can hear. But just he stands there and listens, and that just kind of reminds us, the inner turmoil, despite the fact that he's trying to move on. He's definitely he's flirting. He's having bad blind date surprise dates and all this stuff. So I think that really seeing where Matt is, even though this is a year after that incident, and someone on the text thread that I referenced earlier thought that the fact that Karen had the horn from the Daredevil, from his mask, and so what, she took it to San Francisco with her. I'm like, well, it's this big. It wasn't that hard. She wasn't talking to him, and she thought that when she did, she would present it to him. I thought it was a nice touch. I have no issue with the fact that perhaps that horn has 6,000 miles on it, you're having gone out to San Francisco and then back. I'm fine with that. And
I did love the detail of that. The edges were rubbed off towards the end when you see it in Matt's hand. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
When Karen saw Bullseye hit the ground and she had that look of disgust, he easily could have just said he slipped, he fell off, or we were fighting, and he didn't have to tell her like I shoved him in disgust.
No. He probably didn't tell her. She just knew. I think she knows Matt.
Dex, don't jump that. Oh, I'm sorry, I tried.
Yeah, because if you think about it, in the character that they've set up Matt to be, he would have probably jumped after him and caught him last minute, and then let him get arrested. But she knew that the fact that a body fell, she 1,000% knew that wasn't Matt. So
right.
She was like, wait a minute, I love the fact that we got the emotion all one-sided, that it was all coming from Matt, that you didn't see now he really didn't really talk, with the exception of him just punching random ladies in buildings. Bullseye, which oh my god, if anything, I really want to see an entire show of these victims afterwards, in an office setting, them just going to the police, so what happened? So I saw my boyfriend get hit with a knife, and I said, hey, and then he just punched me in the jaw, and I collapsed. That was the last thing I remembered.
Yeah, just imagine being the insurance adjuster that is trying to take down those stories. Hang on one second, just because Kame mentioned this in the chat. I know IMDb is not always reliable. It shows Eldon in one episode. I mean, that could certainly change, but it does answer the question that he has not been booked for something else, so he would have been available.
Listen,
I looked it up too, Cammy.
That makes me feel worse. Actually,
he's waiting on that reboot of Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Aren't we all?
There's Eric. I want to let you make your point before I move on to another big aspect of these episodes.
Well, one thing, and you brought this up already before. It's the idea, they're not afraid for this thing to be Daredevil. It is R-rated. They linger on blood whenever they can. I saw not as many broken bones in this as I did in my massive binge of Broken Bones, but then it makes up for it with quantity, not quality. Because when a bone breaks, it's like, oh yeah, no, that's a bone coming out. All right, good, very good. So they're not pulling a punch, and I think to their credit, they, on one hand, they understood the audience fervor for what was. They gave us a little bit of lip service by bringing back two of our favorite characters for 5 minutes, basically. But at the same time, they have stuck with what worked for Daredevil on Netflix. So that's kind of exciting, because obviously once it became part of the bigger Disney MCU machine, the worry is it going to get sort of buffered like the edges of the Daredevil mask. But the truth is, it still packs a wallop, which is really impressive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that, it's interesting because I think that they needed to do this as a 2-episode premiere, by the way, because I think we really ramp up by the end of the second episode, but the pacing is very deliberate, which is great about these shows. I mean, Eric, you just rewatched the Netflix shows. It's not a fight a minute. And I think that obviously the most important thing we have to talk about is the honorable mayor of New York City, Wilson Fisk. Fisk will fix it. And that does seem like something that I could hear residents of Staten Island proudly pounding their chests to.
In case you didn't know, Staten Island really loves the Kingpin. He loves Mr. Fisk. Staten Island.
It's like that clip that went it's like that clip it's like that clip that went viral about John Gotti. And it's like, yeah, but what about all the murders? What murders? He was the best guy around. Wilson Fisk, who'd he murder? Who's the Kingpin? He's a great guy. He's going to fix it.
But as a New Yorker, I am offended at the thought that my friends in Staten Island would vote for a convicted felon.
Listen, I'm a fellow
Brooklynite. Thing?
Very hard to believe that would happen.
It's not like he's running for president.
I'm a fellow Brooklynite. I was born in Queens, raised in Brooklyn, like the song says. For the most part of my life. So it's like, but it's like a very Staten Island on brand thing to do. It's like, hey, we love him, but one thing that you guys notice that it's like is very, very relevant to these times that we're in, because Matt is like that friend that is like, notice that even when he goes on the blind date, and then towards the episode, the end of episode, towards the episode 2, towards the end, where it's like he's coming off like a ninja, like, oh, they vote, how did this happen? And then she's like, what's the matter? Like, Wilson Fisk is cool, and it's like, what am I taking crazy pills? Like, everybody's like cool with it. He's like, which kind of shows you the character of Matt. Even though a year has passed, he's kind of like still like coming off as the guy that's like has a tinfoil hat, because he like has a thing for Wilson, and everybody's like, oh, what's the problem? Like, unless that they were victimized, like, the cops know about it and stuff like that. It's like everybody's like, what is your problem with him? And
and look, this was something that even when we had the earlier incarnation on Netflix, I mean, at that point, Wilson Fisk had been mayor of New York in the Marvel comics, and I always thought, like, wow, that would be such an amazing thing to do. And obviously, it is not so deftly done to compare Fisk to real life, let's just say. But I think it doesn't make the story any less impactful. And we get him back, and right away we are treated. You talk about fan service. One of the maybe even the first line we actually hear him say is Vanessa. But
oh my God,
there is trouble in paradise, and Vanessa was perfectly happy if he had never actually come back. So I do want to talk about the Fisk family, but we knew from the trailer that we were going to get this image that is, of course, behind me, but also now full screen for our visual audience. The scene in the diner between Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. And Eric, you did, of course, make sure to give us the comparison of the scene from Heat with Pacino and De Niro. And I'll let the people in the chat decide which one of these scenes was better. But I thought that it was great, and sort of the way they're feeling each other out, and they're both threatening each other in their own like non-threatening ways.
Now,
yes.
Lots of political speech in that.
When I saw this in the trailer, I was confused for a little bit, just because I thought that this was going to take place later on in the show. Always going to be like a sit down, like, hey, we got a problem. Because like, if you look at the way the trailers were cut, it's like these two have to come together in a certain way to stop a bigger bad. But then they threw it in the beginning, and it was kind of like they were extending like pleasantries, but like at least with Pacino and De Niro, they liked each other. Like I think it was kind of like just dumb luck that they ended up on different sides of the coin. They might have had a beer with each other, whereas like Matt and Wilson, like they hate each other. And it's kind of like they're both like, you know, we're pretending not to be who we are in public, but it's kind of like this passive aggressive conversation that occurred that honestly, like, just led me to believe that, man, this is not over.
It's absolutely not over. And Matt even references the multiple times that he tried to kill him. So I feel like it is a very honest scene, even though they both have sort of this public artifice of who they actually are, you know. So he's there as politician Wilson Fisk, he's there as lawyer Matt Murdock, but we obviously know Daredevil and the Kingpin are talking. And I think there's so much depth to the scene. Obviously it's great with these two tremendous actors, but I think it really lays some groundwork for where this relationship is at. And we know that the next time that we see the two of them, it won't be as civil as this. What are your thoughts, Eric? I know you're the one who sent me the scene from Heat. So obviously that it invoked memories of that for you.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I think by design. I don't think it's. I'm by no means the only person who made that connection. You know, one thing I really like about where, at least in that episode, where they are as characters, is that question of can they change? Can you go back to being Matt once you were the Devil? Can you go back to being Fisk once you were Kingpin? And so you see these two guys, and then the larger question: do they even want to go back? So you know, Fisk was seemingly on the level for about 15 minutes, and then by episode 2, he's blackmailing someone and doing his old playbook. But I never thought I'd see Wilson Fisk also on a couch with his wife at a therapist's office. I thought that was and I know that's episode 2, but that was a great moment too. But he's
not even for Vanessa.
Not Vanessa. By the way, we're not even talking about Wilson Fisk's his weight loss. We're so busy talking about how foggy the fog is lifted.
He the weight loss is a thing throughout the season. As Christian, I heard you say earlier that you watched the whole season.
No, I actually have not. So we're only talking about these 2 episodes.
Disney only sent him a VHS bootleg of the Ben Affleck version of Daredevil.
Over and over, just him doing the splits on the.
All his dialogue scenes, none of the action.
They cut out all the fight scenes.
Yeah.
So there was going to be no chance that I was going to enjoy it.
It's just young Ben Affleck stopping,
wearing glasses that just get smaller and smaller until they disappear.
Well, Katie, let's talk about Wilson and Vanessa. As Wilson proceed.
I love the fact that we end up getting like a half reference to Echo, especially in that diner scene, and then also as he comes in, and, like, starts talking to Vanessa, who apparently has not only taken over the crime business, but is doing real well with it.
Yeah.
And
who knew I had a knack for being a criminal?
Business gone up.
Yeah, business has gone up. I mean, she's quoting some stats too. That it's like, okay. I mean, clearly it feels like she's really the new Kingpin. And I know, at least from the grapevine, that like she does have some involvement in the crime syndicate. But I don't know. That was very interesting to me, especially as Wilson is trying to be this political front-facing figure as she's starting to turn more and more towards crime. I'm curious as to what they're building with that. But I Wilson's gonna crime. He can't not crime.
T-shirt.
Wilson's gonna crime.
King's gonna pin.
King's gonna pin. Yeah,
but not necessarily Vanessa.
No.
So, am I the only one that kind of like if I was just a normal person in the cabinet, you know, while he was mayor, or like a constituent, and I'm walking up to him, like, he has really dead eyes, which makes him great in this and made him great in CSI. A Law and Order Criminal Intent. Yeah. But it's like like, man, like I know he can't control it, but his eyes are just dead. Like, like when they go to therapy, it's like I would be like, "Can you step outside for a second, Mr. Fisk? Like, are you okay?" He looks like he's gonna kill you right now, and it's like,
well, it's it's the line that Bruce Banner has in one of the movies. The secret is I'm angry all the time. The Kingpin is angry all the time.
Oh yeah,
he just has to keep it at bay. And
maybe that's the snap for Vincent D'Onofrio.
Eric, did you take it personally when he said that Philly cheesesteak was the most disgusting sandwich he'd ever eaten? As a Delaware boy, that must have hit close to home.
It was a King of Prussia cheesesteak, fictitious cheesesteak place. So
right,
it was okay, and I made sure. Yeah, no, this was a complete fictitious place, so they didn't besmirch any hardworking King of Prussia folks' good work. So,
by the way, anyone who's ever read the signage at Gino's would understand that would be the one that Wilson Fisk likes, and I'll just leave it at that. Yes,
like I've seen it online. People were saying that he doesn't like cheesesteaks. I was like, no, he very clearly said it was that particular one.
Yeah,
I agree.
That he had.
Yeah.
Right. No, exactly. Brody, I'd like to get your thoughts on Wilson and Vanessa Fisk.
Well, if I remember correctly from the Netflix show, at first she was sort of like Carmela Soprano, where she didn't want to know what was going on, and she was Melania Trump in it, where she would just, she lived the life but didn't want to be part of it, kind of whole thing. She stepped right into it, and she's like, "Hey, Red Hook doesn't pay." Like she laid down the ground. I don't know why Red Hook doesn't pay, but they don't pay. They don't pay the tolls. They don't pay the fare. So I thought she was great. She had the they went out of their way to immediately show that they respected her. Right. The gangsters respected, even the tracksuit mafia guy that they alluded to. When she said, no, end it, show some respect. They were like, sorry, Queen Pin, whatever. I didn't call her that, but she's the Queen Pin. Yeah, she can't be the Kingpin. I mean, she could be the Kingpin. She would be whatever.
Katie, that's your wrestling character for our other show.
It's okay, great.
Queen Pin.
There we
go. 1, 2, 3.
I mean, I'm still beast infection, but okay.
Cold Queen Pin.
Nice. Obviously they don't have a romantic relationship anymore, and I don't know who Adam is, but all she said was, "Promise me you won't kill him." He didn't promise he wouldn't have somebody else kill him, nor did he not promise he wouldn't rip his arms off.
Right.
She should have gone down the list, like, make sure nothing bad happens to him, like all of it. She's like, just don't kill him. He's like, okay, I won't kill him. He's gonna wish he was dead.
Right.
They're gonna show that guy Adam later. Don't say a word about anybody who's seen the episodes, but but don't give me false hope that he survives or doesn't survive. But I think she did not. She did not say don't harm him. Like she has to know better than that.
No one is watching Marcus more than Brody right now.
Brody's got Marcos on like the big screen, and he's watching his eyes.
For every micro.
Your eyes look a little too shifty here, Marcos.
The eyes are not dead. They are very.
I'm gonna hit the keyword. He's gonna go.
So
I think eventually they're gonna get back together at some point. But I think if he got arrested again, she wouldn't be upset about it.
Yeah, no. I think that's I think that their relationship being the complicated one it is something fun to look at. But I do. We get to see Fisk do things like, well, why don't you just fill the hole? I'm saying you can. Now there's your viral moment, and it's like, I mean, you can see, I think that scene does a lot to show why there was appeal for this guy. And, look, people don't necessarily always care about people's criminal past. It's not, I guess, I don't know how much time he spent in jail is what I'm trying to say. I mean, we know he went to jail. We saw that in the Netflix show, but I actually don't know how long he was there. He got out at one point. So, I think that the public perception of Wilson Fisk is a very complicated thing, as with many politicians, not even politicians in 2025. And many politicians have had marriages of convenience. That is not limited to anyone currently living in the White House. Possibly, maybe somebody lived in the White House 30 years ago, but who's to say? Who's to say whether or not that was the case? Not me. So There's a
Very
lot.
subtle.
I think we get to see a lot of, and I'm excited for that. I did really get Sopranos vibes, though, when they sit down for the therapy. And
I think we get a lot of like mobster type,
Sure.
illusions. I mean, you got
Do you
Gandolfini
guys
right there. So.
do you guys think that the respect that Vanessa got was more because of her association with Wilson, or was it that she was that they were eating good, so to speak, and mob speak?
It's a great question, Marcos. I think it started as in like, well, we know who her husband is, but then as she said, it's like, yeah, sure. At first they were scared of the fact that I'm married to you, but then it was like, we're actually doing really well, So yeah, I think it's both. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but
and also I felt like she's mad at him for being human. Like I think. Like the fact that he put himself in a situation that I guess his face wasn't bulletproof, because like she says like you left and all that stuff, and when their conversation, but you almost feel the sense that it was, oh, you let this stop you, like you're invincible, like that persona that she had for him, like I think like she wasn't in love with Wilson, she was in love with the Kingpin. Like the power and the fear that he brought. And although they fear him, they never respected him. And now she's kind of like, like Brody was alluded earlier. I rewatched like episode 1 in its entirety again to pick up to see like if this guy Adam was ever in the episode. And like I was like, what is this? And I started Googling like Adam Marvel, and it's like I'm not gonna ruin it, but it's like man, like I wish they would have said something or showed him, or like did a mini flashback through the year where they're showing like her, because it's like at this point he could have inserted whatever name he wanted. He could have been like if it wasn't for Peter Parker, like you would like I know about you and Peter. It's like, yeah, and it's like he's definitely like, it's weird. And then I don't see her, like I feel like they never slept together. Like I don't know, like even like the whole vibe that they give me, it's kind of like they're together, but she's definitely like somebody that he just like sits up in bed looking at her, like he's like, oh,
you don't think they've ever gotten together? Like
I don't they don't give me
got
that
an
vibe.
Awful lot of jewelry.
Like,
yeah,
I mean, I hope she's on top.
Daddy of her dreams.
Like she's never been happy, even in the beginning. Like even when she was going to jail, like it was kind of like I don't think he's ever had a leg up in this relationship,
so to speak.
Yeah.
Like, 2 legs.
And then like think of the optics of that, like, oh, Vanessa,
or the physics.
No,
actually, the physics.
No, I don't want to think about the physics. I don't want to think about the visuals. No, I'm fine. I'm fine with all of it.
Like having those dead eyes. Like, Vanessa, are you okay? Are you fine right now?
Oh, they're definitely doing it where he's standing and she's looking the other way. I mean, that's the only way that's gonna work.
He might be wearing a sheet over himself. I don't know, man. Like,
Kingpin Sutra.
As we talk about the therapist, we're talking about the character Heather Glenn, who is a character that was in the comic books 50 years ago. While I was reading Daredevil, is actually when the character passed. I don't know if she ever came back, but I do know that she died while I was reading, right before the Born Again comic book series, which, by the way, we'll be talking about later this month on Geekscape Book Club. I feel like if the henchman knew that Matt was dating her, in theory, they wouldn't have steered Fisk there, but also it could be part of a very complicated mind game doing this to Matt. And I don't have a strong answer for Kemi Egan, but Katie, let me ask you first. What do you think about this?
I think it's somewhat planned, if not from his British right-hand man, but maybe from the Gandolfini kid.
It's well,
Gandolfoni.
Yeah. I mean, considering that the therapist has to, according to law, like not talk about her own patients. Like if she finds out about Matt Murdock or any of the stuff that he does, like she's not allowed to tell him. And but she is allowed to report things if she knows that someone is about to be harmed or hurt in any way. So it's an interesting dichotomy just with her in the mix of it all. I'm also curious to know, like, are they really there for therapy? Are they really there to rekindle this relationship? Like, whose idea was it to see a marriage counselor, essentially?
Adams.
Yeah. that would make sense. Go ahead, Marcus.
I can answer that. It's not in spoilery. I think it was him. Like, if you notice the character, he's the kingpin everywhere else, but he seems to be, to borrow a new age term, he's a simp for her. He's a guy, and like in a way that it's like, it's weird. It's like I don't know, for those of you that have a long-term partner, like if my wife, if she turns to me and she goes, depending on the time of day, I might turn around and be like, babe, is everything okay? But like Kingpin will hear that and he'll like drop everything. He's like, what do you need, my queen? Tell me, Vanessa, what is it that you want? Like she literally has told him, like, she's told him what's wrong. And he's like, okay, I can't fix that. So I'm gonna try to fix something else. And he's very honest in terms of like, I wouldn't know anything. And like, if anything, like if you're a mob boss, that would be his biggest weakness, is Vanessa. But of course, in comic book storytelling, there's never a hero that is willing to go that far. Now, if this was the Punisher story, Punisher would be like, hey, guess what? Boom, she's dead. And that's it. Like I took everything.
Interestingly, I would say that Frank Castle would take her out as a mob boss, but not if she just worked at an art gallery, sort of the earlier incarnation. He has a very specific code. He mostly just kills drug dealers, but he does kill other bad people as well. And,
Christian?
Yes, sir.
Can I quote the great Joey Tribbiani from Friends?
Is it about sandwiches?
Or smell the fart?
No.
Okay, well, I'll listen anyway. He was really only an authority on sandwiches, but I'll listen all the same.
And 2 pizzas.
He was talking about dating someone. I don't remember the exact scene, but he said, I would be such a good boyfriend. I would love you like I was an ugly guy. I would try harder. I would try hard like an ugly guy. Meaning, ugly guys try harder because they have to.
Yeah.
And so I think Wilson Fisk suffers from, maybe less attractive in his own mind, overweight guy. He's lucky to have this goddess, Vanessa. And so I think he just puts her on a pedestal. Like, I'm so fortunate to have this vision of beauty. She wants to be with me. I'll give her anything, whatever you need, my love. Yeah. I just think if he was Brad Pitt, he would drop Jennifer Aniston to the curb and move on to the next one.
I got to go see my wife right now. No, you've convinced me, Dave. I'll be back, guys. Bye.
Well, that's what I was going to say earlier is I've never once had anything responded to by my wife with, what do you need, my lord? How can I help you? But every text that I send Eric Connor actually starts that way. So I appreciate that level of respect that I get there.
We keep each other alive.
As far as why he went to that psychiatrist, part of me thought, well, she's got a book out.
Yeah.
She's famous. Nothing but the best for Wilson Fisk. But it was the way the sidekick went to the book signing and he was like, no, thank you. Like he was, he didn't like say, can you take on a new client? Plus something's going to happen with that freaky guy who was like, picking on a new client. Either that guy's going to try to hurt her and Daredevil's going to have to save her. Or that guy is yet another villain that we are not aware that he's another Daredevil villain. But she's attracting all the losers at this book signing. Don't do book signings.
Can we talk about the fact that she must not be a great doctor if the way this guy commented on her and said, you're everything to me and all this stuff. And she was like, oh yeah, here's my number. Like, sure, let's definitely meet one-on-one.
Yeah. You don't have a secretary or somebody to take the call, like call my office and you'll go through. So, like,
Listen,
ridiculous.
times are rough. The fact that a white man actually approached about therapy is huge. Okay, so
but she's a famous author. Like you saw that line. It's like me
With
going
good
up
hair.
to like I don't know if Dr. Phil was really a
and
real doctor.
Yeah,
sure.
And she has availability. I'll fit you in. I got a book out. You're absolutely right. How successful could she be?
Hi, crazy man with dead eyes. Yeah, no, my calendar's wide open for you, buddy.
Could I please be alone in your office where you can't tell anyone what happens?
Like think about it. Like if you went into Dr. Phil and it's like, Dr. Phil, I really loved your show. I really, you speak to me. Can we talk? It's like the guy's gonna be like, sure.
I loved your protein bars. They made me look so thin. Look at me. I'm hot now.
You look great on those ride-alongs with ice.
like if she couldn't tell, this is where I guess the writing got a little bit weird. If she couldn't tell this person was really crazy, like, you know, that person, and then the other guy was like a complete opposite. It's like, no, thank you. Like in my mind, like I was like, is he gonna take her signature and put it on
exactly
something?
what I thought. I was
Like,
like,
he was
like sign her on to DA for.
Well, yeah, he's got a pad of blank prescriptions.
Blank check. Yeah.
Like all we needed was for him to take the book and put it in like a sandwich. But I was like, no, this has been more than enough.
Thank you.
If I could have a lock of your hair, please.
And do they call her a psychologist or a psychiatrist?
I think she gives meds at a certain
depends on
point.
the scene.
She's
psychiatrist.
She's definitely a psychiatrist.
So I'm not a doctor.
That is Muse.
Plays one on TV.
That kid is Muse. That guy is the, you know.
The British guy?
No, not the British guy. No. The kid that came up to him.
The shifty.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anyway, so not to cut her off, but anyway.
Yeah.
I just want to say that can we talk about and correct me if I'm wrong, when they wake up and he's like getting dressed, and does he in episode 2 do is the psychologist already staying over with him when he's getting ready for the day, or no? That hasn't happened.
I don't think that's
okay.
No,
yeah,
I think we got like that clear distinction that he had the option to go into her apartment during that date, but he was more focused on
look, even though he tossed the guy off the roof, he's still a good Catholic boy, and that'll never change. I do want to make sure that we shift over to talking about a character who looms very large over the second episode, Hector Ayala, who is White Tiger, which I think that scene in the subway, I'm like, okay, so I know White Tiger's on this season, so clearly that's White Tiger. And, it's worth noting that the episode is dedicated to Camar de los Reyes, who is that actor who has actually passed away since they finished filming. He had cancer. So I think that it was kind of a very, very sad footnote on there. By the way, just to piggyback on that, what we said earlier, Cam Egan specifically says psychiatrist. But so we have Hector Ayala, who, does what somebody who is a superhero and doesn't have their magical amulet, which I did like the lawyer who's like, come on, he didn't have his magical amulet.
And everybody took it to be like, oh, that's fine, definitely. It's like, like a Power Ranger being arrested.
You got a magical amulet, how
it's established that this is the MCU, that the attack on New York happened inside the Netflix universe. Thanos did snap half the people away. So it's not the craziest thing, but I do also appreciate that. So Hector does what any superhero would do without their suit, is like, oh, I want to stop this guy from getting harassed. And then unfortunately, tosses somebody in front of a subway train, which the last time I saw that happen on a show, it was Kate Mara on season 2 of House of Cards. And, I probably felt a little bit more about this guy than I did about that.
And her dad's football team hasn't recovered since.
No, that's true. It's ever since that happened to her.
Also, if you like the classic movie The Warriors, one of the guys got thrown in front of a train by the cops.
No, it's a great point. And
this was revenge.
Getting to spend time with Hector, and we're just getting to know him sort of, on a very much on the surface level. I find it to be very interesting, that we're telling this story of what can happen to someone who is a superhero when they're trying to do the right thing. It goes wrong, and they don't have the comfort of being able to swing away on a web or open a portal and disappear. Let me ask you first, Eric, your thoughts on Hector's story as it played out through episode 2.
It was a nice parallel, and I think even he had that line about well, Daredevil hasn't been around. Someone had to pick up the slack. Wasn't his exact quote. I have to admit, I didn't know that actor passed away. So it definitely, now that you're saying it, it like completely changes how I'm going to be watching him in the next few episodes here. Sure. But I like this notion too of like vigilantes are like an ongoing thing. I think it's smart to have that as like as a season long plot line. It goes well with like the the hero registration or whatever it was called. This
Sokovian Accords.
Sokovian Accords, right? So I think it's kind of like a nice, small, tangible variation of that theme. And the actor was good so far. I mean, I feel like we haven't gotten to know him that well. It's all very reactive at this point. But, that notion of Daredevil's, he defended Spider-Man. Like, he goes out there, looks for people. That's, in some ways, what I always hope She-Hulk would have had more of is, a superhero lawyer defending other superheroes, I think, or having to defend villains. So I'm for it so far. I think it's a small sample size, but I mean, it's a nice addition to this universe.
Well, She-Hulk did defend the shapeshifter, so you did have that.
That's right.
Quality.
Katie, I wanted to get your thoughts on White Tiger.
Yeah, I was very excited when that came in, and such a great way to at least change that judge's mind that he didn't have his amulet on him, so it can't be admitted because according to law, like, it is actually a really good legal stance to take, and the fact that the judge actually upheld it was interesting to me, just because he was so easy to be flippantly like, yep, yeah, no bail, no bond. You have to be in jail. I'm curious what they're going to do with the character, because at least as of now, IMDb only has him listed for that one episode. And I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I'm excited to see more of the character.
Sure. Listen. I can 100% say that he slips on a banana peel and he's never heard from ever again.
Also falls in front of a subway. That's how everyone.
And ironically, he's in lockup and he goes, "Oh!"
and he gets pushed by Alex. So it all, Brody, I want to, and I'm sorry, Katie, had you finished? I don't want to take.
I'm excited. It's nice. It's nice to see another superhero that's like actually like trying to do good in the world. That also kind of gets into a messy situation, which I'm wondering if that's going to lead us to unveiling Matt Murdock as Daredevil just to the entire public, is what that feels like.
Yeah, no, I agree. And by the way the episodes are scheduled, there will be 2 more episodes the last Tuesday/Wednesday in March. So if I had to guess, one of those episodes, he'll show up as Daredevil again. But Brody, I wanted to get your thoughts on Hector, a.k.a. the White Tiger.
Well, first off, I'll say if you're so far, we've lost Black Panther to cancer, White Tiger to cancer.
Oh, no.
I'm feeling like if you're like Green Cheetah, you should probably not.
Wait a minute. How did Peter Sellers die? He was the Pink Panther.
Well, maybe cancer. I don't know. And Sabretooth, also kind of a cat. I would be worried.
Blue Beetle, watch your back.
Yeah, Blue Beetle. Yeah. I would.
Anything that has a color or some type of feline
or a cat. Right.
You're done. You're done.
You're done. So.
Oh no! Good news. Peter Sellers died of a heart attack. So no.
Ring the bell.
Yeah.
No.
Don't ring the bell for the death.
and I'm sorry, it's getting us off topic, but I googled
Not
it,
at all.
and I have to share this because it says Sellers, who died in a London hotel of a massive heart attack, aged 54 in 1980, was a monster.
What?
This is the top result on Google. Cruel and nasty to his 3 children, unpleasant and domineering to his 3 wives. He was also arrogant and abusive to fellow actors and film crew.
That was a lot to put on his tombstone.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible. How about when he looked at guy get bitten by the dog? Remember that movie?
That was all in the prayer card that you get.
He wrote it himself, so he wanted us to remember him that way.
Absolutely.
From Saint Anger.
But I want you to finish your thought, Brody.
Well, first of all, as a vigilante, as a hero, he's absolutely going to come to defense of a man on the subway being assaulted. Sure. Now, those two cops were clearly up to no good because, first of all, they wouldn't have been beating the guy. He was a meek man they could have taken down immediately. And the first thing you do is say, back off, we're police officers, and you show your badge, which means it was an unofficial thing they were doing, and they didn't want to be associated with the NYPD. Yeah, they got the tattoos of some gang thing, which we'll find out later. Don't trust the tattoos on the wrist.
It looked like a Punisher tattoo.
Did it?
Am I wrong?
It looked like the Beetle
off-market, off-brand.
Yeah, it was a knockoff.
Yeah. It is a skull tattoo of some sort.
So
but it wasn't a Punisher tat. But and then they showed up at the end, so you knew they were bad cops. They were dirty cops.
But if you think about it, like that little insignia, like again, very meta. You know, certain individuals that work in law enforcement, that seems to be their idol, and they tend to be people that are just a little bit more physically persuasive with individuals.
Right.
But
tuning them up.
The one that we saw, the actual tattoo on his wrist, did they both have tattoos? Do we know?
We don't know. We saw the one, and like
was he the one that got thrown into the subway, or
who got the wrist?
No. The one that has the tattoo had his unfortunate arm, like just miraculously leave the bone leave his body, and
he was the guy in the apartment.
They had matching tattoos.
Okay.
That
wait, no. The guy in the apartment, he does not. He's the one that did the scorpion into the floor, and
but when he put Matt up against the wall, right there in that scene, the tattoo is on his wrist.
Yeah, so we're sharing that for our visual audience. Somebody posted this on social media.
What body part is this? I don't know if I want the answer. Sure?
Left wrist. He's holding him up against the wall.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. I thought you were saying that he broke his wrist. I thought he broke his wrist. Sorry.
No. Well, he may have snapped him at the elbow, but that does look like a bad Punisher tattoo now that I see it.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. But like with the backwards flag, though, that's anarchy, right?
That's where. I'm not.
No, you know things.
Okay.
No, okay. No. This is not show related. Like we've seen that symbol before in pop culture and in real life. It doesn't represent law and order. Like you know what I mean? It's like, come on. Like this is when they're very much like on the nose.
Yeah, everything felt a little bit too 1 for 1 sometimes with
it's like, come on, guys. Like at a certain point I wanted a guy in tights to come out like, well, take care of this now. Like, but no, it's like, God damn it. Like,
our friend in the chat, the great Adam Hughesy, the H-Man Hughes, checking in from across the pond. Eric looks like Charlie Cox, but his walk hard like Dewey Cox. If no one gets the reference, you're all being sued. But he also said, I want to see battle scars on Matt. In the Netflix series, he's got his lips busted and his nose broken every episode. It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not superhuman. Show me scars or else block attacks. I don't disagree with all that.
But we've learned that Eric looks like Cox, multiple Cox. So
I'm not hitting the bell. I'm not hitting the bell on that.
That was low hanging fruit. Low
hanging Cox.
No,
it's low hanging. How do you know it's low hanging?
We don't.
Low and lazy.
So I want to get some final thoughts. And Marcos, I know it's a little tricky because you've seen more, but you did put your list together. So when you saw these 2 episodes and it ended the way it did, we see Matt is finally like, all right, I don't have the mask on, but sometimes, King's got a pin, Dare's got a devil, and he would have, gotten killed if he had stuck to his belief that I don't do that anymore. So what were your thoughts kind of at the end of these 2 episodes?
My thought was like, man, like you could tell, like it's just bubbling at the surface. Going back to that picture of them 2 sitting at the diner, I felt like they were both wearing their masks. Like their actual true personalities are them as Daredevil and him as Kingpin. And like the fact that like he was smiling. I don't know if you guys saw when they walked in, he was smiling not because he outsmarted the cops. It was because he knew that this was going to be an opportunity to push these guys. And it's like, it leads me to believe that these cops are not really good cops. And I'm not saying like in a moral way. I'm talking about in you really don't know the laws that you protect, because like they should have just been like, okay, he got it. But then they're like, oh, let's go ahead and commit a murder while wearing badges. You know what I mean? Like I don't know about you, but even the most corrupt cops, I don't know how they could pull that off. Like they can explain that in a trial with a victim that they're accused of abusing their power with, just end up dead, the lawyer, like in a place that a known junkie lives in. Like, come on. Like, but then it's like it goes both ways. Like honestly, Matt should have known better. He should have just followed him out of the fire escape, because at the very least, those cops were not gonna chase him down out of the fire escape and everything. It's like this is where Marvel like kind of reached, and it wanted to show you that even a year later, he's even more vicious than in the beginning of the show that we saw, because he could have just disabled them and left. But no, he was like, oh, okay. He basically told them like, you guys don't want to do this, without preventing anything. He could have like swung on them before they took out guns or weapons. No, he waited until he could use the most lethal of the force he could.
But it seemed like he seemed like he took the beating though, hoping that they would be done and leave. He could have beaten them up and stopped the beating. The fact that he took the beating and didn't want to be Daredevil, he's like, don't make me angry, don't do this. He wasn't going to hit them until they took the gun out and he had no choice. That's when he snapped. So,
but Brody, he could have left.
But it was also the blood.
Oh no, I agree with you. He should have left, because these guys are coming in ready to shoot whoever's in that apartment, and he's like opening the door slowly, and they didn't bust the door open. I mean, I can't imagine they wouldn't have just busted the door and start firing. So he definitely took a risk by being there. But then I don't think he wanted to be Daredevil. I thought he'd be smug. I think he wanted to be Matt Murdock going, they're not going to hit me. I'm the lawyer. How are they going to explain that?
I'm the blind lawyer.
I'm a blind lawyer.
Definitely not
but
going to hit me.
Notice what was missing from there is that he didn't hear their heartbeats. He could have known those guys were agitated. Like, I think the whole gun thing happened after he answered them being a jerk. Like, he was being an asshole. Like, if he would have been like, hey, I don't know what your client is. It's like, I don't know. He could have easily, if he wanted to be smug, he'd have been like, are you guys looking for somebody? Because I'm just here at my friend's place.
I just got here. He could have said, I just got here. The guy's not here either. I'm looking for him also.
Yeah.
But he's also Matt Murdock. So,
it's like,
So, go ahead.
To answer your question earlier, I really do think the show is going in a good direction. I think, Marvel fans, something that I love to say is we're eating good right now. Like, this is really, it's like, oh man, thank you guys. And we're getting another double helping next week. It's like,
thanks, Vanessa.
We could have had these Echo shows. Like, I love Echo for what it was, but I knew watching the show, I was like, this is not going to land the way Marvel thinks is going to land for mainstream fans. For the comic book guys and the lady like us, it was like, oh, this is great. And then we loved the story behind the girl that was actually deaf herself and all this. But everybody's like, oh, what is this? Like, half of the people watching Echo were like, what is she, some kind of Mexican? Even though they literally
you watched our podcast?
Yeah.
It's like
direct quote from
I was off that week. I want to give Brody a chance for final thoughts after these 2 episodes, sir.
The glasses come on.
I'm going to read something, but I did love the show. I got the vibe, the old Netflix vibe.
Sure.
I thought the fight at the end was terrific, but his scream made me scream, because I was like, oh my God, it wasn't just a fight. It's the emotional impact that just had on him. And what I'm going to see in episode 3, that scream was so much more than just a scream. And I went, yes, I was like, that was it for me. So I can't wait for the next episodes. I am very upset about Foggy. I hope they work Karen back in at some point. In the comics Born Again, Karen is a real problem. For those of you who haven't read it yet, she has a drug problem and she's a prostitute and whatever else. So maybe they're not going there with her, because a lot of this was filmed. But overall, I love the show. I did have a couple of complaints, if I could just get them off my chest real quick.
Sure.
One of them is because I'm a New Yorker.
Is this one of them?
Yeah.
No, foggy.
I just show it very quickly. I don't want to show it for too long.
The broccoli pizza.
So you flashed them. You flashed your foggy at them.
Yeah. So for those of you who are from the New York area, again, it's nitpicky as a New Yorker, but if Wilson Fisk is going to visit someone in Brooklyn and you leave Manhattan, there is no chance in hell you would be in Queens by Citi Field where the Mets play. There is no route. There is no route that goes from Manhattan to Queens past Citi Field to Brooklyn. Not a thing. It's like going from Iowa to North Dakota to get to Nebraska.
We don't know. We could have had the Avengers blow up the Brooklyn Bridge, and then he could have had a double back through Uptown, cut through the Tri-Borough, go through Queens, and take the LIRR. I'm sorry, take the Long Island Expressway to the BQE, then cutting. But you know what? They for all the shows were forgiven for this because they mentioned Sunset Park at a certain point in the show throughout this season. I forgot if it was this episode. Okay. It's just they were like, "Oh, Sunset Park," and I was like, "Yes, I am seen for the first time ever."
Very nice. Shout out 4th Avenue. Yeah. So that bothered me I understand you got a filming location where you can block the street and put a hole in the street, whatever, make it look like a hole, but don't show Citi Field in the background is all I'm saying. All right. That's fair. Here's some actual dialogue from different scenes in the show. When Matt
give me 2 of these, Brody.
I give you 3 because I got real quick. So Matt is on the stand in court and he says, the real crime is I'll never see Foggy again. You're blind, dude. You never saw Foggy in the first place. At one point, his new female partner, the new lawyer, says, are you going to see that woman again? No, he's not. He's never seen her before. What? And then in the diner scene, Kingpin says, things are not good out there. You can see that, can't you? No, he can't. He's blind. How many times are you going to ask the guy?
He sees in his own way, but
how many times are you going to ask the blind guy if he's going to see something? It's offensive. At some point, he's got to go, dude, seriously, am I going to see that woman again? No, he's not.
By the way, Ladastro in the chat says that you talking about the roots there. What is this? The Californians.
What
are you doing here?
No, we're gonna take the 405 to the 72 eastbound on the. Yeah, I'm just saying that's not the way to go.
Don't pretend. There's no 72. All right.
I know. I only know the 405. I don't know after that.
I know. I'm just saying. Don't pretend.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a poser. New York, East Coast.
Oh my God, this is amazing. We should have a podcast just some ranting.
What else do you have on your list, Brody? I wanted to make sure.
Those 3 things, the 3 the seeing things and the Mets reference. Other than that, love the show. That's all. Yeah. Can't wait.
All right. Well, maybe they'll have Citi Field in a future episode. Katie, your thoughts after these 2 episodes?
I'm a big fan of the second episode. It felt a little bit more of what they were potentially going for from the beginning and from the get-go. Sure. I feel like we're finally off to the races. I'm glad we got 2 episodes. I'm glad we're getting 2 more episodes. I am liking this sort of batch releases because it gets a little bit tedious when you're waiting for Severance, only watching 1 show a week. So, you know, so I'm excited. Yeah.
Wait until you watch animes.
Oh, trust me, I have.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's come up. There is only 1 episode next week, 1 episode the week after. March 25th has 2 episodes. That's the next time we have 2 episodes, just so everyone knows. We're only getting 1 next week. So Eric, your final thoughts after these 2 episodes.
Well, one, I was going to shout out to whoever their music supervisor is. I like some of the music choices. They had the Magnetic Fields,
Hey, Husey, did you hear that? Eric liked the music in the episodes.
The Vines.
The Vines. I actually have a soft spot for that album, that song.
I haven't hated the music in a show this much since Cloak and Dagger, but finish your thoughts.
And Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. How dare you mock them? Nick Cave has gone through much tragedy. Leave him alone. I found my experience is very different than like you guys because you were watching Daredevil from the get-go and I wasn't. So for me, I didn't have I didn't have for me, it was a blip. I basically went right from the end of season 3 the other day to this. I had watched some of the Punisher, I was late to the party. I know. And by the way, after I take off these glasses, I'm going to be blind, I think, because looking at the world through red lenses for an hour.
By the way, I have to appreciate your commitment to the bit. I would have taken them off after like 2 minutes.
I'm really scared about I have a Zoom meeting after this for my son. I'm very nervous about what I'm going to look like on that. But all that being said, I'm so glad that they continue this. Charlie Cox is a real treasure. Foggy, R.I.P. And also what Foggy and Karen brought to the original series. I've yet to see the characters that are going to fill that void. Because I found their characters were so fascinating, that they had a whole episode, season 3, just about her backstory. And I would have watched more of that. I mean, they were such good additions to that world that whatever they're doing, I appreciate the taking a bold swing, but I'm a little concerned, like the humanity they brought the show. I'm not sure what's going to replace that, but so far so good. I'm here for it. And I'm very glad that I got into this world.
The new coworker of Matt's, Kirsten McDuffie. I'm not sold on her yet. She's no Foggy. She's no Karen.
Listen,
a little broadly drawn.
She's no night nurse girlfriend. So.
Also, we didn't talk about the and we're not going to the influencer, the one who has like that
BB
interviews.
North,
Like a vault that was like, okay, did she win a bet with someone? Like, why is there so much of this?
If she's getting favors from Michael Gandolfini, she lost a bet, I think is what it is. But the niece of Ben Urich makes for an interesting point. Was that Marcos?
Yeah, like that's I was about to say that's why she's in the show, and like you're led to believe that she's in the same age group as Michael Gandolfini's character. And like, but weirdly enough, like if they're going for a romantic angle, I don't think it's there.
There's no romance.
Oh God, I hope not. I really
I'm gonna call that a no-mance.
As romantic as two dogs doing it in an alley. Yeah. No, thank you.
And on that note, we want everybody to tune in next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, as we recap episode 3. I believe our friend Nate will be back with us. He was unavailable this week, but tune in. We'll be there sharing all the things that we can share. You can find me on social media at Christian DMZ and my personal podcast, The Blackcast, BLADTCAST. For fans of earlier incarnations of this show, the latest episode of Who Are These Broadcasters over on the Who Are These Podcast YouTube channel, I was paired up with my old Marvel cohort, Zia Anderson. We spent almost 2 hours watching some clips, so go check that out. Eric Connor, where can people find you?
Hunt me down like the blind man I am over at Count Eric Connor on Insta and X. And you get to see me and Katie on maybe this Friday on What Won This Week, one of the newer Geekscape shows. Check us out.
Katie, other than What Won the Week, we've got Napping Through Happy Hour. Where else can you be found?
You can find me tomorrow, Thursday, for the grand premiere at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time / Central Time, and 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Internet Supreme Court. We've got some great memes and stuff to go with that. A lot of fun sketches in between. So please stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the Geekscape YouTube channel, guys. We've got a lot going on that's going to be really exciting and fun.
And Mr. Brody, I even introduced you on this show as America's second favorite Brooklyn boy, but Marcos is also a Brooklyn boy. So we'll just say you're a top 5 Brooklyn boy, and we'll leave it at that. No more ranking the Brooklyn boys on the show. I hope you understand. But where can people find the Brooklyn boys, among other things?
No, still number 2. He's half a Queens boy. I'm from Brooklyn. He moved to Brooklyn.
A half a queen, I know about them.
No,
I moved to Brooklyn before it was popular. There was no Starbucks.
Right. I like that. I like that.
I was there when they filmed Saturday Night Fever. Where were you? Go away.
Hey, no. I was there, just not born. My dad was around.
Perfect answer. Brody, where do people find the Brooklyn Boys?
You can find the Brooklyn Boys wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find me on social media at David Brody with a Y on most places that are worthwhile these days to go on social media.
And Marcos, I know we just last week did our big crossover between this show and XPod 97, talking about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man season 1. What else do you have going on right now, sir?
Yeah, there's a couple thing. XPod 97. Check us out. A couple old episodes. I'm gonna be going on this journey a little bit, covering this season Daredevil. Trying to bring some different guests. I'm also at the SCM Movie Therapy podcast with my homeboy Mikazi, aka Sarat, WWE employee, superstar, everything. We cover movies that people don't really talk about, just to shoot the shit. And hopefully you guys invite me back. I love
oh my God,
being on
absolutely.
podcast.
Yeah.
We'll absolutely have you back. I think 5 tends to be where the show works the best. But we've got a couple of people. There's a week that I'm not going to be around. We will absolutely have you back. It was great to have you. And we appreciate that. The show will certainly be back next Tuesday, as I said, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. But until then, as the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior.